Thank you for joining us. We are going to have our third episode of Financial Planning When Single. So I wanted to um, spend a little time today. The first part of it today is just reviewing a couple of things we've talked about in the past. So you will all videos are recorded. You can go to our YouTube channel, Highland Trust Partners YouTube channel, and you can find episode 2 and 3, which we'll talk about again, I'm sure, as we go through this. I want to explain the reason behind why we put this together. So my my motto for everybody, for all clients, friends and family for that matter, is to organize, simplify, and clarify. So we're trying to develop education tools that we can help you organize, we can help you simplify, we can help you clarify. A lot with financial planning gets convoluted, it gets deep, it gets real lot of cases over people's head. So we're trying not to do that. We're trying to bring this down to a level that most people can understand the best as possible, and also offer our coaching services for those who need us. And with for you as a single female, I would say that having someone, an advocate by your side that you can talk to these type of things about is probably as crucial, more crucial than a couple. Because as a couple, you have each other. You can go home at night and have these conversations and bounce ideas off each other. With as someone who's single, whether by choice, divorced, widowed, you need someone. I really feel that. So regardless if it's me or somebody else on our team or someone else at another firm, I really think it's very important to have a person that you can bounce ideas off of, and they can be an advocate for you. So, I mean, and that's why I would, when looking at my clients, 30 when I analyze the book of business that I do have, 30% are single female, in comparison to only about 10% are single male now, and with the rest being couples or institutions. So we have a pretty large single female contingency, and that's because and what I just said, having someone that you can bounce ideas off of that can be an advocate and support you is incredibly important. These are the topics that we went over in 1 and 2. So episode 1 and episode 2. You'll see these again, like I said, if you go to the videos on our YouTube channel, they'll be there for you to watch. Please do so when you get time to do that. It's important that we document or save these somewhere where you can find them at your convenience, because a lot of times I know that when we host these meetings, it's not convenient for a large amount of people. I totally understand that, particularly if you have young kids at home and you're single. This gets real convoluted. So you'll see on part 3 in front of you, insurance, protection, retirement readiness. The invitation said managing income and retirement. So why is there a difference? There's not. We kind of can figure we don't need to spend 30 minutes going over income or your current income or income sources in retirement years. I mean, the 4 key sources of income for retirement years, there's Social Security there, which is an episode. So, and I'll talk about that again in a minute too. There's a video recorded just on Social Security, so I'll cover that in a second. Your savings, your 401ks, your 403bs, your IRAs, your Roths, your checking accounts, any of the savings that you put aside, that's a source of income later that would be used for income. Pensions, if you have them, so if you work for a government institution, teacher, or such, you may have a pension opportunity that could be there, which is that may need its separate kind of conversation. I would, because there's how the benefits are structured for, especially in TRS system, the teacher retirement system, for someone who's single, and also part-time job. So maybe working part-time in retirement years. You're retired, but you're quasi-retired. You still have a part-time job. Those are income sources. What we're going to talk about a little bit is the things that can hurt your income sources. So I want to get deeper into insurance, protection, retirement readiness. That these are the things that are income killers. They're savings killers. If you don't properly have these structured through your working years, some of this sucks your income dry in your working years. But in your working years, until as you head into retirement years, getting these in place the way you need them, they will protect your income. So when I say managing income in retirement, I'm really talking today about managing the things that could hurt your income in retirement. So get started with that, and why this course. I've talked about this every time, or the other two as well. You've seen, if you've sat on this before or watched this video, you've seen this. women are just looking for more advice than men. I mean, men are, especially as a couple, you have each other. Again, you have someone that you can talk to. You have someone you can bounce ideas off of. You have an accountability partner in one another. We have at our firm a ton of couples who work with us, but I have a good bit of women, single women as opposed to single men, because they want that. They're seeking for that. They want that accountability. They want to find somebody that they can trust. They want to find somebody that they can share ideas with, that they feel comfortable is not going to lead them astray, so they can focus on the other things in life, their children, their adult children, their work, their parents, the things they enjoy doing with one another, that they don't want to think about it. They want to hire someone to help them. So this is why, another reason why we put this together, some of my female clients, single female clients, said you ought to do something like this. Of how we've helped them, you ought to do something like this to share it with more people so that they can see there are trusted professionals they can turn to that could possibly get them over some things that they're maybe struggling with in their day-to-day lives. So I would ask you, before I dive into insurance a little bit, I would ask you that if you have any friend groups that you do things with book clubs or church or support groups or whatever that is, if you ever say it would be nice to kind of share information, anybody on my team is happy to visit with you or them and do something that is and try to give some education that maybe can get them over again some things they're going through and guide them as far as who they can maybe trust to potentially go deeper with one-on-one. So we welcome that. We'd ask you to do that for us. It takes a village, and if we can help, that's what we want to do. And I really feel we do a great job, particularly helping single women with all the things because we care. I mean, it's not just about stocks, bonds, cash. It's not just about return on investments and things like that. It goes deeper than that. It's really true care to help as many people as possibly can. So let's get a little bit of insurance talk. So don't get too bored on me quick. But we want to talk about insurance or income killers again. So not having the proper coverage, not knowing what you pay for these types of coverages, not knowing what's going to continue into retirement years as you head there, again, can really hurt current income, and it can also hurt it could really hurt your savings if it's not done correctly. So the key to all these is, what do you need? And you've got to figure out or sit with someone that you trust, and it could be your insurance agent, some of this too, but sit with someone that you trust to analyze your personal situation, whether you have small kids at home or teenage kids at home or adult kids. How do you want to progress as you age into retirement and through retirement, to really figure out what you need? So start with life insurance. Do you really need it? When you're a couple, you're funding one another's income replacement. So, for example, in my household, if I passed away, I mean, my kids they're college, they're all graduate school, they're in graduate schools now, but I have coverage to make sure that my wife and my children have some money to get them through graduate schools and help with loss of income because I'm not here anymore. So that's important to do as a couple. Do you need that income replacement as an individual? You may need life insurance to maybe cover debt. If you have a mortgage or other liabilities on your balance sheet, you may need to have coverage for that, so your kids don't have to pick up that again when you pass away. That debt is taken over. They send that debt to the next living relative. It doesn't disappear. So you may need insurance for that, but do you need it when you head into retirement years? Maybe. So there's no such thing as a yes or no answer with any of this, but I would definitely say that it's something to really explore. I know I meet with a lot of individuals, single ladies, who've gone through a separation, and maybe years after the separation, or they've gone through maybe or they've gone through possibly a death of their spouse, and they've carried life insurance for a long time that they really don't need. And so they're paying premiums that they may really don't need to pay. That's part of your income killer. So to protect income, we want to make sure that you're not overpaying for different coverages. You may be able to pick it up through work in a group coverage. So you may, with all of these, and you may have someone say, well, it's going to be so much cheaper to buy your group coverage. Why don't you just go ahead and do that? But do you really need any of these for that reason? So it's understanding what life insurance in this case is really going to do for you and your family. So don't get pressured into buying group anything. That's including ancillary policy. So you'll see that if you work for a company who has, say, a cancer benefit, cancer or some other type of rider or type of policy that covers a bunch of unique little things. Don't just get buy it because somebody says it's cheap to buy it. It doesn't cost you much. Just make sure that it's really necessary. And then when you start buying this or any of these things, how portable is it? So once you leave that company as a group benefit, can you take it with you, or do you have the ability to continue that coverage that you've paid into for all those years if you need it through into retirement? And how much is that going to cost? A lot of times with portability, it's portable, but the premiums could increase a significant amount in cost. So there again, when you talk about income replacement in retirement years, why do you need to spend a lot of extra money on something you may not need in retirement on insurance costs? So for disability, this is a big one for me. Anyone who's single definitely needs to look at disability protection, because you may have a situation, obviously, where you can get injured, hurt, or be out of work for a certain period of time. You need to have some money coming in. Your employer may pay you a salary to have that. They may pay you your agreement, your contract, whatever you work under. You may get pay regardless. So you may not need as deep a disability short term versus long term, but everyone needs to look at that because you could have a period of time, and your kids could be grown, but you will have a period of time that you may lose income. You still got to pay your bills. So disability is huge for somebody who is single. That's something we need to look at. If you don't have that in your group coverage, we can offer that. Talk to an insurance agent that offers that. We really need to explore that for you. And health and Medicare, I think everybody talks about this one's probably talked about the most. Obviously, you need to get health coverage while you're working. You need to figure out what that's going to look like in retirement. Medicare kicks in at 65, as you know. So when we have conversations with people who say they're going to, especially singles who are going to retire early or want to retire at 62, 63, where's that gap? What do they have to pick up in coverage until they get to 65 in Medicare? How's that going to work? When somebody goes through a divorce, what do they need to do with their health coverage, and what was the divorce decree as far as if especially if they have young children at home? You really got to get deep into this, and don't assume. I've seen that so many times where somebody assumes that's getting taken care of by their ex-spouse or the attorneys or something like that, and you'd be surprised how many gaps are in there when we do a deep dive case. Long-term care, absolutely consider. So usually, and I'll touch this maybe a little bit more too. It's a savings killer. Long-term care, if you have to have it, again, if you're single and you're in need of it, you don't have to be older to need long-term care protection, because plenty of people in their 50s and 60s have some kind of event that is a long-term care coverage type thing. But usually around 50 to 55, maybe 50 to 60-ish is when you should really explore with somebody, do you need or do you don't need, or don't you need it? Because again, it can suck your savings dry fast. And the one thing that as a father, a parent, and I'm sure you as a mother, if you have children, we do not want our children to have to come out of pocket to help us if all possible. So there's things you can do to protect your family. And that's why we want to pay attention to this, because again, protecting and managing income in retirement is managing these things ahead of time, the premiums that are paid into, as well as what they can do to suck your savings if you ever have that event. So this is kind of a reminder of that as well. What do you need? Have an insurance review. Sit down with your benefits, either human resources at the company you're working with. Sit down with your insurance agent, maybe you have a connection to. Long-term care is not on here. It needs to be. It's also in one of those. Should be on one of those boxes as well. The other one that's not on here is property and casualty insurance. So make sure that what you have for your car and your home are in really good shape. So with your personal insurance agent, make sure you do that. We're happy to have an insurance review with you. So if you're a client or not a client, and you say, I just want somebody to give me a 10,000 foot view of what I have, and is there anything particular I should be digging into a little bit more, call any of us on our team. Let us help you look over that as well. If you don't have particularly anybody else to turn to, just don't guess. Don't guess you have the right thing, and all of a sudden you're paying more for something you really don't need. And especially if you are single, widow, divorce, and you have children that are still part of, maybe they're under 26 or still under your health insurance, so they are, regardless, you may have to do some support for them, or you're giving them some support currently based on their age. Just make sure you have everything in place, because you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting your kids as well, which is protection. There's no such thing as a dumb question. The one thing I love about working with my female clients is that they tend to they love to ask questions. I love my review meetings. It's so much more productive when I have someone come in with a notebook full of questions. The over apologies that I get from that is crazy, because I tell them there's no such thing to not understand something. There's no such thing to be embarrassed by that. There's no reason to not ask a question of somebody that you are paying an expert, us or someone else, to ask these questions and get answers, and not confusing answers, not crazy acronyms. That goes back to the organize, clarify, simplify. Not crazy acronyms, not talking about these real thick insurance policies that if you don't understand it, you can't explain it to a friend, you do not need to own it. So you've got to understand what you're doing. You need to be able to explain it. My test is, when we work with someone, is take what we're doing with you, or the analysis that we did, whether it's insurance or tax or other things, take that to one of your kids or all your kids and explain it to them. If you can't explain it, I mean, it won't be 100% perfect. We understand that. But if you can't explain it to them, you need to come back to us and you say, okay, help me do this better. You need to do better, because I can't explain to my kids the way I would really need to. And if you're working with somebody else and they won't do that for you, not just a second opinion, find somebody else. 100% find a reason. You need to work with somebody that you can trust, that you know is on your side of the table always, and not someone who's just out there trying to make a buck. Retirement readiness. This was a video. If you didn't get an invitation for this for some reason, or you didn't have time to watch, on July 22nd, I did one of these Zooms. It was an open Zoom. It wasn't just for singles. On retirement readiness, I covered all these in pretty good depth on that. So instead of taking up your time here, I'd ask you to go back onto our YouTube channel and look back for that July 22nd video. It dives deeper into all these. Again, I give you quick answers. When to start tomorrow, yesterday, how much do I need to save? As much as humanly possible, as long as you're still able to pay your bills and you're having fun. The one thing you'll always hear me say if you're a client is that I want you to enjoy life. I want you to have fun with it. I don't want you to stress it that you can't do anything because you're so worried about paying a bill or saving or that type of stuff. Just have fun with life. So save anything you can outside of paying your bills, and have some fun as well. Savings vehicles, that's working with an expert. Some of this is going to sound like now I'm pitching to work with someone, which I am. Again, I think that it's important for someone to have an expert working with them. And how much and how do I determine if I have enough? So those two bullet points, savings vehicles and how much, you just got to have somebody that's an accountability partner that can analyze your personal situation really, really well, and not cookie cutter anything. The one thing I hate is the cookie cutter stuff. It's got to be all about you. It's got to be personalized to you. And then I spent a lot of time with clients on, besides the dollars and cents, on health, whether in mental, emotional, physical health heading into retirement years. I think it is huge, because it's also financial. If you don't have if you haven't taken care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, then retirement can get real stressful and real expensive, because you're not in a good place to take care of things because of physical and mental and emotional health. So we spend a lot of time talking about health with retirement readiness, a bunch of dollars and cents. And sometimes I feel like a doctor and a therapist and a trainer, but it's important. It's very important. So go back and look at that July 22nd video. I think you'll enjoy it. So Social Security, I just want to put this in here, less to talk about it much today as an income source, because this could actually take another 30 to 45 minutes. And I know you don't want to take that time. August 19th, there was a Zoom video that we recorded. Again, it's on our Howland Trust Partners YouTube channel, that went deeper into Social Security. I went from a broad view, and a lot of the conversation was around running analysis on couples, but I did cover divorcees, singles, and widows. So I mean, there's some nuances with those each, but it did go into couples as well. So if a couple, if you're if you're married, you're going to get something out of today as well, hopefully, as well as watching that Social Security video, regardless if you're single or married. But there are some particulars that go into divorce with divorcees and widows that if you are one of those two, I think you ought to sit down with someone who is an expert in Social Security, which we feel we are at Highland Trust, and we can do a full analysis for what Social Security how it can benefit you with those situations, as well as what your option should be. Should you take it earlier at full retirement age or later in life? We can cover that in really good depth. Again, no cookie cutter answers here. We want to go into a deeper analysis for all of that. But of course, it's an income source. So, and a big one, which you'll see in that video if you watch it, how much that actually can be in dollars. The slide says divorce. I know when this was put together, this wasn't put together by us, but when this slide was put together, which I borrowed, it was designed for divorce, but it's divorce or death. It's just what this is or singles really, is taking a look at you. What's your vision? What's your target? What savings and what retirement income do you have? I like these bullet points or these check marks on here just as a demonstration for people to think about. We're not going to wing this. We don't want to put a retirement plan is not just saying, hey, we're going to retire next year. We're going to collect our Social Security and we're going to be on Medicare and hope for the best. That is a retirement nightmare to me. That's not the way we should think about it. That's not the way people should do it. And they're going to have a less stressful, more successful retirement if we go through these types of things with setting goals and understanding again who you are without a cookie cutter. We're going to have a vision. How do you want to spend it, and what is it going to cost you? We're going to go deeper into those retirement sources. So if you do have that kind of goes back particularly for Social Security analysis, we're going to run that and make sure you're going to take the right year for it that's going to work for you. And again, that adjusts depending on your situation year over year. And we're also going to look, if you have a pension, what your different benefit options are there. When should you take it? Should you lump sum it? Should you take the annuity part of it? We're going to run a deep dive into those as well, so we can make sure that you're going to take the right option that's going to fit your goals that you've set. Again, your investments with that, your insurance coverage, as I went through a second ago. And we want to do, just to give you an idea, I don't want to do this 6 months or 12 months before you actually retire. We're talking about doing this 5 years plus ahead. So my ideal person is someone at 30. So let's start working together and figure all this out and make sure I'm going to be okay. But if someone who walks in the door at 50 years old and says, I've still probably got 12, 15 years until I retire, my husband and I retire. What should we start doing now? That is perfect. The questions start to flow. Just ask me away. Let's go back and forth and figure you out and start working on these things. So when you finally get to the point, you're ready to take that leap of faith and stop working, that you're in a really, really good spot. So the sooner the better, always. This was on a video that, again, that retirement readiness. I wanted to show you the agenda items we had for that. So these are the different things that I talked about again on that July 22nd video. So I'm kind of soliciting everybody to watch that one. It's probably, I don't want to say it was one of my favorites, but I had as many comments or question or feedback or people coming in the door wanting to sit down and go through things like this. Because look, at the end of the day, the one thing we all have in common if we're working is we're going to want to retire one day. If we have a job, there's the 2%ers who I'm going to work until I pass away. They're going to die at their desk, going to pass away at their jobs. That's a small percentage. And as time goes on, when they say they're going to do that, they don't really do that. So they're a handful. So most of us are working for retirement. So retirement readiness is probably the most talked about of everything, and it encompasses everything. It encompasses tax, estate, how you invest, your income, your expenses, and getting ready. So these are the types of things that were on that agenda. I would love to hear feedback from that if you ever do get a chance to watch that July 22nd and see if there's anything that sparked your interest. I have a feeling there's going to be 2 or 3 things, especially when we get down to stuff like housing decisions, lifestyle, social connections, emotional. I get a lot of people who said, you know what, Chris, I thought about these things. I thought about investments. I thought about estate planning, but I really didn't spend a lot of time on this. Y'all talk with clients about this? Absolutely. That's part. If we weren't doing this, I don't think we're a good coach. So With that, I'm going to wrap up for the day. We did keep this under 30 minutes. Again, the point was you're going to have some type of income in retirement. It can come from your savings. It could come from Social Security. It can come from pension. It can come from working part-time. The key is to make sure that once you're in those retirement years, because you don't have a full-time job anymore, there aren't things that's going to hurt you or pull away from those. So managing income in retirement is managing the things that could take away your savings, could take away that what's coming in, because you're paying exorbitant life insurance premiums in your 70s that are pulling Social Security funds away to cover those premiums. Why are you doing that? You don't really need that anymore. So but you might. We just want to make sure and explore it. So how can we help you? How can we give you more? What ideas do you have that you can say, I've never heard someone talk about X before, but I've always wanted to learn more? That could be a topic for another one of these Zooms. I'm happy to do it, or do what a lot of other people are doing. Just give us a call, email us at that email address and say, I would love to talk to someone about what. I would love somebody to look at my life insurance. I would love somebody to go deeper into my Social Security analysis. What are you looking for? What do you feel like you're missing? If you're not sure, let us send you one of our surveys, and that basically helps you determine if you really do have or there really are some things you've never thought about before, and you probably do need to pull up a chair and talk to one of us. So we'd be happy to do that. We really do care. We want to help as many people as possible organize, simplify, and clarify. I hope you have a good evening, and let us know if we can help. Thank you. Bye bye.